Live from Fargo and serving you on TV, online, and on the go. This is Valley News Live at 5.
Breaking news to report for you out of Lakes Country. That's where 3 people were found dead this afternoon. Shane Richard, the chief deputy with Becker County, confirmed with Valley News Live that it happened in the 26400 block of Beaver Trail. That's in rural Ogama, Minnesota. That's about 25 miles north of Detroit Lakes. Many people living in the area have sent us messages confirming the information and adding that it was a mother and her 2 kids who were found dead. Valley News Live has left several messages with the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, which is handling the case, but we have not yet heard back. Stick with Valley News Live as we work to learn more on this breaking story. Fargo's mayor is putting out a call for volunteers in anticipation of potential flooding in the city this spring. And Mayor Tim Mahoney signed an emergency declaration today, too. That's required if the city wants to be reimbursed by the federal government for any costs connected to the flood preparation. The mayor says Fargo is in danger of suffering a substantial flood event and says the city needs 1 million sandbags over the next few weeks. Fargo's Sandbag Central will open next Tuesday, March 26th, and will stay open until the sandbag goal is met. We'll have much more on this story tonight on Valley News Live at 6.
Your conduct killed your child. I just keep thinking about the last hour, minute, second of your child's life, and it causes me to lose sleep.
Now on to a Valley News Live exclusive. The Carrington woman charged in the death of her 4-month-old son last July pleaded guilty to 2 felony counts early this morning. 25-year-old Justice Lang was originally charged with manslaughter and 1 felony count of child neglect. But a plea agreement changed the first count to negligent homicide, keeping the second charge the same. A Stutsman County judge sentenced Lang to 12 years in prison with 2 years of supervised probation. Valley News Team's crime and safety reporter, Bailey Hurley, was the only TV reporter in court this morning, and she joins us live in the studio with more on what unfolded today. Bailey?
Andrea, today was actually supposed to be the first day of Lang's jury trial. Instead, a very stoic Lang sat in front of a judge pleading guilty to 2 felony counts in the death of her son last summer. Lang and her 4-month-old baby, Tyr, went missing for 6 days last June into July. Her baby ultimately being found in a slough in rural Stutsman County. An autopsy showing he died of starvation. After hearing from both the state and defense, Lang addressed the court, taking responsibility for using meth and the death of her son, but also blamed her ex-fiance for giving her the drugs in the first place.
There's no words that I can put into it because it's affecting my life, and nothing that you guys can give me is ever gonna amount to what I do to myself every day.
And those comments did not sit well with Judge Sherry Clark, telling Lang she didn't feel like Lang showed enough remorse or guilt for the crime against 4-month-old Tyr, saying Lang should have expected harm to come to her son the moment she took meth.
This child completely trusted you for its life, for its health, for its food, for its water.
And as you could see, Lang was visibly upset with those comments. But Judge Clark didn't stop there, as she became emotional herself, calling for the courtroom to sit in a minute of silence to reflect on the baby's last moments of life as he was starving to death after being in the heat for 6 days.
Your conduct killed your child. I just keep thinking about the last hour, minute, second of your child's life, and it causes me to lose sleep.
Judge Clark handed down a slightly longer sentence than what the state and Lang had come to in their plea agreement, and because of that decision, Lang now has 48 hours to decide if she'll take the judge's sentence or if she'll withdraw her guilty plea, something we'll be watching very closely. Andrea?
All right, thank you, Bailey. Due to Lang's long criminal history, the state asked she be considered an habitual offender, making the maximum sentence double in both charges. The Red River Valley Fair Association says it is working with its insurance company to assess damages after Friday's roof collapse on the fairgrounds. The area was blocked off, but we can see part of the damage here. We're told the center section on the south side of the Harvest Hall building caved in on Friday around 4 p.m. The building houses a wide range of more than 60 vehicles for winter storage. We're told everyone who owns a vehicle inside that building has been notified of the collapse. General Manager Brian Schultz says he's not sure how many of the cars were damaged.
The fire department and our structural engineer has told us to stay out of the building because of not knowing, a gust of wind could take the rest of the building down. We're not sure. So they've asked that we stay out of the building so we have secured to the best that we can.
Schultz says depending on where the rafters fell, there could be anywhere from 20 to 30 cars under the collapsed area. We're getting used to hanging around in the 30s, and it looks like we'll get even warmer as we go through the week. Hutch, what have we got going on this evening?
Yeah, we do have some clouds starting to push their way here into the valley, and the radar is showing that we do have a little bit of light snow developing in the Devil's Lake Basin and moving into the James River Valley tonight. Not a lot of snow. In fact, not a lot of this is reaching the ground as we take a look at the DOT camera on Interstate 94. If anything, it'll be a light dose of snow or possibly some drizzle. Temperatures slipping back below freezing. Remember, that locks up the water in the snowbanks there as ice, kind of keeping things as a slow melt. In Grand Forks tonight, temperatures by bedtime in the upper 20s with decreasing wind as well. So for most of us, a quiet evening, and the best chance of snow, Andrea, will come in our northern and western counties. I'll have details on the outlook for the rest of your day tomorrow and the week ahead here in a minute.
All right, thanks, Hutch. 2 men from Grand Forks are now behind bars for criminal trespassing after authorities say they tried to collect a debt from someone. Court documents state on March 15th, 29-year-old Andre Wagner and 24-year-old Jose De La Cruz pushed in an apartment door so they could collect that debt. De La Cruz allegedly stuck his foot inside the door while Wagner pushed it open. The person living in the home called police and sprayed mace at both men. De La Cruz was also charged with violating a restraining order. Police are looking for help tracking down whoever shot out dozens of car windows over the weekend. Nearly 40 vehicles in South Fargo had their windows shattered during a 24-hour period that started Friday night. Most of the vandalism happened east of 25th Street. 2 cars parked in driveways, on the street, and in a parking ramp. Police say it looks like a BB gun or pellet gun was used. If you saw anything suspicious, please call police. In advance of tonight's vote on the hands-free cell phone bill in Minnesota, House DFL leadership and the bill's chief sponsor held a news conference with Minnesotans who have inspired lawmakers to reduce distracted driving deaths.
The lives of our fellow citizens, our families, are far more important than one more text message or one more phone call with the holding onto the phone or one more piece of distracted driving. We all see it every day when we drive. Probably many of us are more guilty of it than we wish we would be.
Winkler says he believes it's time the state moves in a different direction. There's new hope for certain shelter dogs waiting for homes. A major property management company is now opening its doors to all dogs, including so-called aggressive breeds like pit bulls and German shepherds. Valley News Team's Veronica Marshall has the story behind the change.
This is Goose.
Very, very sweet boy. He does have some separation anxiety. He really just wants to be with his people all the time.
This friendly and attentive boy has been waiting for his forever home for weeks. And now his wait could be over. As of today, Fargo's Property Resources Group is throwing away its old pet policy and allowing dogs of all breeds into its buildings. In a statement, the management group says while certain breeds have bad reputations, they believe it comes down to environment, training, and behavior, and it wants all dogs to have the same opportunities. Dog trainers and advocates celebrate the change and say it's about time.
This is the first place that we know of in town that's actually approached us and asked us for advice on doing this, and it was great to hear from a company who's actually looking at getting rid of these archaic policies based solely off breed. If more rental companies are willing to adapt these types of policies and be more open-minded, it'll definitely help us be able to place more dogs.
I have never dealt with a human aggressive pit bull. I've not seen one, and I've dealt with over 2,500 dogs. Most of the time their tails are going to wag really hard, and they have really thin tails and they hurt really bad in that aspect, but for the most part they're not not going to hurt you.
If you think this means all dogs, regardless of their behavior, are welcome, think again. The property company is working with trainers to evaluate the dogs before they ever put a paw inside a PRG apartment.
The dog that I'm working with, what does it have a bite history? Is it okay with random people? How does it respond in new situations? So we're doing a full, complete assessment to determine that dog and the actual liability that is there with that particular dog.
So everyone can feel safe at home and have a home to feel safe in. In Fargo, Veronica Marshall, Valley News Live.
Property Resources Group says the change to its pet policy is based on several factors. Some therapy or support dogs happen to fall in the aggressive breeds category, but legally have to be allowed in anyway. The group also says prospective tenants have been asking for a change. A Vikings player is expected to make his first court appearance today on drug possession charges. Earlier this month, police arrested running back Rock Thomas. Court documents state neighbors complained about a strong smell of marijuana coming from his Mendota Heights apartment. Police say they found the drug along with paraphernalia all over his place. The 23-year-old joined the Vikings as a free agent last year from Jacksonville State University. From the jumps to the twirls, over 150 skaters are getting ready this week for the annual Moorhead Ice Show. This year's theme is fun for all seasons. And while the performers make it look easy come showtime, everything from the routines to the hair is practiced until finally polished.
They are up every morning at 5, getting ready for these numbers, perfecting the costumes, making sure the rhinestones are going to stay on, finding the perfect hairstyle. I mean, it's not just, a sport and skating. There's a lot of that extra stuff that has to go into it as well.
The first show begins on Friday at 7 p.m. Tickets are $7 for ages 12 and up and $5 for ages 3 to 11.